Welcome to the Lodge. You've accessed
The Lodgecast Experience.
Warning, warning, dangerous spoilers ahead. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Lockdown Hot Takes. What is this, week 20, week 25, week 30, week 40? Who the fuck knows? I'm your Lodge Master. With me as always is Brother Bishki.
Hey, how's it? Hey.
And Brother Lucas with the full stash, looking like Eric Robertson star 80. What's going on, Lucas?
Good evening. I like to think of myself as 1980s Nick Nolte.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that.
But yes.
A little less beaten by the ravages of alcohol, Nick Nolte.
Yeah, he was voted, I think, sexiest man alive in 92, which is
Prince of Tides.
Quite something for a man of his life.
All right, enough small talk, guys. We have a movie that we watched that is VOD, video on demand.
Mm-hmm.
It is called Relic. Relic, not the Relic. Don't confuse this with the Mira Sorvino film.
No, it was Penelope Ann Miller in The Relic. Mira Sorvino was in Mimic.
You're absolutely 110% right. Don't confuse it with The Relic, Mimic. This is Relic. Bishki, I'm sorry I tricked you on this one. I vetted this. Bishki made it known that he didn't want any more single location creep around a house movies.
What are you doing to us, Lodge Master?
Hey, I smelled something kind of interesting in this one, so I thought it would be both good to talk about and good to bust your balls a little bit, Bishki.
Well, the one piece of info you said was there was a split in Rotten Tomatoes.
Yes.
And I want to guess it.
Oh, you didn't look?
I have not looked. I didn't look at the trailer for this, and I didn't look at Rotten Tomatoes, which is rare. Okay. Usually I somehow sneak a peek. But
what do you guess is high?
Guess obviously critics is high.
Correct.
Critics is, I'm going to guess 86%. I'm going to guess that the audience score is 32%.
Hold, please.
Hold for verification.
Critics, 91%.
Wow.
Close.
Audience, 45%.
Wow.
Okay.
I didn't know that going in, but I had tried to watch the trailer recently and couldn't finish it because it was just too bad vibes. And like, I'm so stressed out with the world at large that I'm just like, I don't need any more stress, man. I've got no room right now, no space to store this stress.
Perfect. So you got punked too.
Yeah.
Great. But whenever we get a big split like that, especially when the critics are like in the 90s, we gotta see what's going on, you know? And I could kind of guess what the issues are going to be, but briefly, we're not going to give away this whole movie either because I think there's not a whole lot coming down the quote-unquote horror VOD pike right now, and this is getting some buzz. I think a lot of people are going to see it.
Yeah, it's pretty solid, the movie, for what we've been watching a lot lately, so...
Right. So the basic plot is a woman hears that her elderly mother hasn't been heard from in a while, so she goes to check on her with her own daughter in tow. And they get to her house, and it's a spooky old house. And it's time to creep around the spooky old house looking for grandma.
Spooks.
And the one thing I noticed is that spooky old houses, they have two things in common. One, unkempt, overgrown yard.
Sure.
Two, really poor lighting, both naturally as well as like electrical. Like there's just not enough light.
Pretty stuffy in there.
Yeah.
I hope, Lucas, you did not watch this during the day because I could barely make it out.
No, I watched it at the dead of night, so I was glad for the heads up. You guys actually gave me the heads up, and had you not, I would have botched it. So I appreciate that. I said
pump your projector for all its lumens.
Yeah,
really hit it in the middle of the night,
or
else you're not going to see a damn thing.
Yeah,
this is an Australian film, so actually instead of grandma, they call her Gran, and once they get to the house, I mean, we're pretty much in the house. That's pretty much the setting. But I thought for a creep around movie, there were some genuinely tingly moments. In particular, they don't see Gran anywhere and they're looking around. The mom's off trying to track down her last whereabouts. And so the daughter's just creeping around the house. She goes into this closet and there's a bunch of clothes inside of like clothing bags.
Garment bags?
Garment bags, yeah. And just a little tinge, she sees one kind of inflating and deflating. And I'm like, is fucking Gran in one of the garment bags? Like, is she hiding in there? Like, what the fuck is going on? And that was genuinely chilling to me. And then she realizes it's really just a draft coming in through a weird moldy hole. And there's a lot of moldy holes.
So much bruises and so much mold.
A lot of bruises. A lot of mold.
It was like someone saw the bathtub lady from The Shining, and they were like, "We're making a movie about her."
Yeah. That's exactly what I wrote down. It's bathtub lady from The Shining origins.
Yeah,
there's so many sores and bruises. And even baths. There are baths that are taken in this movie. Yeah. So there's all the pieces kind of come together.
It's water. There's a lot of water.
They finally do encounter Gran. Gran just kind of comes back out of nowhere. And things seem to be all right, but they're not all right. Gran's dealing with some shit. And it's the conversation of what to do about Gran. Do we put her in a home? Do we move in with her? Or do we have her come live with us? Like, what do we do? So as a through line for a horror movie like this, it's pretty standard. Like, usually when you have a movie that's set in a single location like this, it's going to be heavy on the metaphor and heavy on the grief. And we got both of those. Mm-hmm. But I think the difference with this movie is just how it was shot. Like, I feel like it was shot really well. And I want to know what you guys think of that. If you guys just dismiss it.
For a single location, she shot the director is Natalie Erika James, first-time director. For a single location, I thought she shot the place pretty well. Like that visually, I had very few problems with it.
Yeah, and the conceit is also that the house is subtly getting larger throughout the movie. Slowly but surely, there'll be like an extra flight of stairs, or the rooms will get a little bigger and the layout will change a little bit. And I thought that was really interesting too, and a really kind of cool way to have production value on a modest budget. It's just like, oh shit, the house is changing, but you never see it change. You just kind of feel that it's changing, which I thought was cool. LT, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm just listening, nodding along. I'm in total agreement. I felt though visually, like aesthetically, the single location house, shining bathtub lady, it kind of reminded me a lot of Hereditary. So I wasn't as wowed as I should have been. Sure. I was kind of like, all right, yeah, I've been in this neighborhood before, man. I know
the exact same color timing.
Yeah, that didn't help.
Kind of the same feel. Yeah,
that kind of a lot of took some greens. Took some wind out of my sail.
I think we're gonna get a lot of Ari Aster kind of rip-off movies.
Well, it made me realize that he kind of owns that like genre now. You know, the psycho horror genre or whatever.
But he shouldn't. Like, I was thinking about that too. I'm like, why does this feel so much like Hereditary? Because it's about family and it's trauma within the family, and it's kind of green.
And it's matriarchal. They're strong women leads in it as well.
But he shouldn't own that, but yet he does. Like, this is so
burned into
Hereditary.
Our brains. I know. It's just too recent, but I felt though the director made the story work, you know, in that location, and it flowed. It had a really good pacing to it, and just enough, not so much pop outs or jump scares, but just creepy imagery, like
creeping dread.
Do I see that? Did I see that move or breathe or like when she looks under the bed, you know, it's like, oh man.
There's one great shot where she's coming up from Grandma. Emily Mortimer's our daughter here, and she's coming up to Grandma from behind, and then you realize it's actually Grandma's hair pulled over her face, and she pulls back her hair, and it's actually Grandma facing her.
You think she's turned one way, and then she parts her hair, and you realize, there's definitely some Ringu vibes to Grandma, especially when she starts crawling around. But there's a Brava sequence that I have to call in the Salad Dragon for. This is towards the end when the house is just going nuts. It expands and then it starts contracting and they have to start like crawling around and they realize they're kind of inside the walls of the normal house and they're in some sort of nightmare, like trapped in the walls. And grandma is just going ape shit, crawling after them, and they have to bust out of the walls. And you see, it's kind of like Nightmare on Elm Street-esque, where
definitely.
you see Freddy's face kind of coming out of the wall above the bed. Well, this time they're punching through the wall into the living room, like over the mantle, and just seeing an arm come out like over the mantle.
It had this MC Escher like quality where they would bust through one wall and the camera angle would like change because it was like, you know, they were almost in this puzzle box of a maze, like trying to get out.
Yeah, and grandma's nipping at their heels. And you think once they get out of the wall, grandma is at bay, but no, grandma bursts right through too, and they have to fight her. And it's just bedlam, especially after such a slow kind of build up. To have this like crazy sequence was much needed and much appreciated. And there's actually a double dragon.
Double dragon!
But I don't want to get into the ending because the ending is kind of the rug that ties the whole metaphorical house together. But if you're on board with this ending, which it seems like 45% of the audience was, and the rest were like, fuck you. But if you're on board, it's a pretty stark and startling ending in a very quiet, subdued way. And it was very disturbing and thought-provoking. And I don't know, like I really liked the ending, and it wasn't where I thought it was going, and it didn't land the ship like I thought it would. And I realize why people are pissed off, but I was on board
on the
with
pissed off front. No, visually I did not have any problems with it. But
Sure.
they set up certain things, like for one, they don't pay off like a lot of the revelations. Like there's like this house where great grandpa lives.
Right.
They don't really pay off.
There's an old creepy shed where their great grandfather like wasted away.
Yeah.
It seems like they should build the movie around that, but they don't.
Yeah, like you're expecting that to be a climax, but they never get back to that shed. And I mean, it's just a slow burn. I was feeling The Lodge, the movie that we watched earlier this year. I was feeling The Turning, which you don't want to feel The Turning. A lot of spooks.
I was also feeling Under the Skin a little bit as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And on the bad vibes front, I don't know, maybe Lucas didn't feel it as much, but this is a pretty miserable grandma daughter.
Yeah, it's miserable.
It's got some real scenes that are like
granddaughter
straight out of real life.
Like anytime something's going good and they look like they're going to enjoy themselves, like
no way.
No, it's going, something's going bad and it's bad vibes.
Yeah, there's a really great scene where the young daughter like asks her neighbor, like, so what happened between my gran and your special needs son? And he's like, oh, they were playing hide and go seek and the boy got locked in a cabinet and she forgot they were playing the game and she left him locked in there for hours until I came over. And it's just like, oh yeah. Like,
and then the best part of that scene is the way it ends, because her neighbor's so like matter of fact and reasonable. Like he's given her the time of day, but she's like, I'm so sorry that happened, and he just says okay, and then he just leaves. He's like, fuck you and your family, we're staying the hell away from you. And I'm like, yeah, dude, you got to get out of there. But his special needs son Jamie, I wanted there to be more of that guy.
Oh yeah.
That
Definitely.
guy was great.
He was great.
I thought he was going to have some sort of like special knowledge of what the fuck was going on, and he was going to have to like help him out of the wall or something, or come save the day or something.
That would have been much better. Like
that's not what this movie's interested in.
There's no payoff with that guy, unfortunately. But
this movie has one thing on its mind, and it's the whole metaphor that we're not going to get into too much, because if you watch it, you need something dangling at the end for you. Like we can't can't fully let the cat out of the bag on this, but I get why people get upset with horror movies when they end on a more representative note than anything concrete. Like, it's not really concrete action, like it's actually happening.
It's not like a crime scene where the cops are like, well, Jimmy, that was a crazy crime. Like, what happened, Jim? Like, well, let me tell you. And it's like, no,
crane up and it's over. No,
it's a symbolic ending, existential ending.
That can piss people off in a big way, and I get that. And I read some of the reviews, the user reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, and they are just their brains got deep fried. They're like, what? How do you take my money and my time? I don't understand. Oh my God.
I need closure and fake life because I'm not getting it in real life.
Exactly. And I get that. And maybe I'm just, we're so far deep into this lockdown that maybe my heart is calloused at this point, and I don't, I'm ready for bad vibes again. Like, bring back these like soul crushing movies. I'm fine with them. This washed right off my back. I did not retain any of the ill will.
I had to cover my eyes, I think once or twice, like actually avert my gaze because I just can't stomach like so much violence,
Well, let's put a fine point on it when we go to the relic bones. Lucas, continue with your sensitivity.
I really wish this movie like didn't come out so close to Hereditary, although I guess it's been a while. Was Hereditary 2 years ago or 3?
Time means nothing.
I don't know, man. All I know is like I still have such a strong aftertaste of Hereditary, and I only saw Hereditary once.
Me too.
It's still so fresh in my mind. Like watching this, I was kind of like, oh, this is really inventive and engaging and dramatic and solid and all these things. But I was kind of like, I've already been there, done that. Like, I don't really want to spend too much time here again. And I kind of sensed where it was going as I was watching it, like metaphorically. I was like, this is pretty solid. I see where I think this is going to go. But then there were twists. Like you said, there are all these like red herrings or dead end alleys or whatever. And one of my favorite set pieces was when the young daughter like is like doing one of those creepy dark house walks through the house. And she goes into like, I think a walk-in closet and realizes there's like a hallway, like a corridor that's been barricaded with like a dresser and boxes and shit. And she like moves the stuff aside and like casually walks down into this other part of the house and then quickly gets turned around. And when you're watching it, it's such an amazing, such an amazing edit where like, if you're not paying attention, it's like, wait a second, like what's happening? I was like, oh, wow, this is really, really cool. But then, yeah, like Bishy said, like it didn't really pay off, or I was just kind of like, oh man. So I've given it 2.5. This is 2.5 bones, which I think is what I gave Hereditary. Like these are solid, technically well made, but like
that was your controversial Hereditary score.
Yeah, I know I'm crazy, but like I guess I guess what it is, because I'm Old Testament, like they're both such bad vibe movies. I would never want to recommend them. Like spend 2 hours of your life, like watching this horrific violent. It's horrifically violent. Like don't let our listeners not think this isn't gory. Like there is gore. Like it's gross. It's gross. Like it's gross, tough. If I was eating like a bag of hamburgers from like an In-N-Out drive-through while I was watching it, like I might have to vomit into that bag.
I think Lodge Mistress was eating some eggs. It did not did not mesh well. She paused briefly and then continued. Brother Bishke, it seems like you're about to crumble down these walls a bit.
Yeah, well, I had a very controversial rating of Hereditary, and that was.
Did you?
Yeah, I was the one who Midsommar I enjoyed more, but Hereditary I was dogging a little bit, and this movie is got some of the same things. It's got this, just kind of depressing from the get go, and it's got this kind of ambient creepiness that is very slow burn. And I know
it is only 89 minutes, though.
It felt longer to me.
Feels like 100 minutes.
Yeah, and the spooks. I had problems with the spooks and the turning. And
you got too scared?
No, I'm not scared. I'm not scared. I just
yeah, right. You're scared. That's what it is.
Look, Natalie Erika James. This has got visual talent. She's gonna be someone. But it's a one location shoot.
It is.
I'm going crazy about these Lodge Master.
I'm sorry.
And
sorry, not sorry.
And so for that,
4 bones?
No.
Oh, okay.
For the visual talent, I'll give her a bone.
Oh, Jesus.
And I like Emily Mortimer, I think, because she looks like Margot Kidder in her prime.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And
can see
so
that.
I'll give her a half bone. I like her.
Just because she looks like Margot Kidder?
Yeah, so I'll give it a bone and a half.
Right.
But I'm siding with the audience score on this one.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was a little frustrated.
Well, okay. 1.5 is not too bad considering you were already biased against this type of film. I really loved the look of this. I loved the creeping dread. I was on board. I was not expecting too much from it because I had seen that audience score and I knew something stinky was afoot, potentially stinky down the road. And I knew it was going to end in a way that was not conventionally satisfying. The way that I think about this and the way that I enjoyed it is the conceit of this house getting bigger reminds me of the best part of National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1, where Emilio Estevez goes into his trailer on the beach and it's just a giant interior, just like columns and stairways and everything. And it reminded me of that, but in a serious tone. And to me, that's just brilliant. It's a great conceit. I wish there was a series of movies about, Fucked Up Upside Down House, the series, So I liked that. And, Jake Gyllenhaal was one of the producers, so it's quality. And
the Russo brothers. Anthony
and the Russo brothers. So they believe in it too. And I don't know, like just the general ambient creep factor of it got my juices flowing. And the fact that everybody was Australian gave it a little bit of an edge that, a standard American straight to video creep around house movie might not have. So in that case, in these lockdown COVID days of straight to VOD movies, I'm giving this 3 bones.
Wow.
It's 3 bones full of excitement for me. And I do recommend it to our listeners, but I will warn you not to eat eggs or pretty much anything else during this film.
Lockdown is definitely giving Lodge Mattress some bone inflation.
Pete Davidson and now this. Mm-hmm. Wow, what is happening to me? Yeah. But I really did enjoy it. I can't lie. I'm not going to lie to the people, to the public.
Nah. Speak your mind.
That's Relic, y'all. We got quite the bone spread, just the 3 of us on this one. Let's blast Love and Light, Love and Light, Love and Light to undo this doom and gloom. Lucas, you got something?
No, I was just doing the Love and Light.
You're doing the Big Trouble in Little China hand gesture.
Love and Light sign, yeah.
The universal sign for Love and Light.
Love and Light, y'all.